The Sons of the Lion, the Unforgiven, the most secretive, zealous, and tormented of the Emperor's sons. This is the legacy of the Dark Angels. And today, we're diving into one of the most complex and underrated sagas, in my opinion, in all of 40k. Thank you for checking out the Bedlam Squalor YouTube channel. We are diving into one of my all-time favorite chapters, the Dark Angels. Now, depending on what mood I'm in, I kind of go between Dark Angels and Grey Knights. They are my chapters. I'm a loyalist through and through. I absolutely love these guys, hence the t-shirt I'm wearing. It took me a little bit of a while to get into them, but after reading these books, what a collection we've got. So I'll show you. I'm showered in. I've got Dark Angels, was it the Omnibus Master of Sanctity, which is a special edition. I've got my Kindle here for all the books that cost an absolute fortune that you can't get anywhere else, so you just buy them online. We're going to jump into mainly the Unforgiven saga, and the peripherals either side to kind of that tells you the story. So let's start with the reading order, not chronological, which is weird because the way that this book is set out is kind of all over the place. So in the Omnibus, you've got Angels of Darkness, the Purging of Caldaris, Azrael, Protector of Secrets, which is like 4 or 5 pages long. It's fucking great. Eye of Ezekiel, Dark Vengeance, Easy Prey, and Maledictation. I think I said that right, probably not. But that's not in order. And it's not in order that I read it either, because I kind of went, whatever. But what I got of Reddit, apparently this is what Reddit suggests, that Gav Thorpe reading it for the best narrative experience. And now I know, for your fans out there, Gav does get a bit of flack for these books. But look, I think they're seriously underrated, and there's absolutely some fantastic storytelling, and there's some other authors which I think need to cop a bit of flack for some errors and some stuff that I'll talk about later in this video, so hang around for that. But here's a list. Azrael, I read that book, amazing. A Hunt in the Dark, Honor of the Third, Holder of the Keys, Pandurax, which I'm currently reading at the moment, Purging of Caldaris, didn't read that one. Angel of Darkness, read that one. Ravenwing, Battle Brothers, Masters of Sanctity, All Must End, Except No Failure, and The Unforgiven. According to the internets, that is Gav's full arc, essentially a saga of betrayal, redemption, and some of the best slow burn lore in 40k, in my opinion. Okay, so what is the Unforgiven Trilogy? Question mark. Absolutely phenomenal. Essentially, it ties together events from the Angels of Darkness to the final battle on the rock itself, when chaos tries to invade the heart of the chapter. Now, Angels of Darkness is the first book that I read, and that's actually set 14 years prior. So it's essentially a prequel. It's a prequel to all of this. The way that book ends, which I'll get in shortly, it annoyed me, but upon finishing the entire saga, it made sense. I understood it, and it actually set up these characters really, really well. And like I said, I liked it. The ending felt a bit abrupt. Obviously, it involved, I think any fucking Dark Angels book is going to have some of the Fallen. It actually introduced Astalon for the first time, and it involved, what was the other one? Cypher. Well, sorry. It alluded to Cypher. Then comes Masters of Sanctity, and this follows Sapphon is now the Interrogator Chaplain, and this is where the lore really starts cooking. Asmodai, Sapphon, and they clash with their ideology. One pragmatic, one uncompromising, and this builds real tension, especially when they confront a greater demon of Nurgle trying to corrupt Asmodai, and it doesn't end well for that demon. Let's just say it like that. Now, look, my favorite characters within this are definitely Sapphon and Asmodai, hands down. It's really told from Sapphon's perspective. You do get Belial, you do get Azrael, then there's Telemenes, from Terminator to Dreadnought. Spoilers. He faces a great unclean one. His moments with the Emperor and his conversations are genuinely up there with Gilliman's conversations in the Godblight series. Moving on to the Unforgiven, this is the next book in the saga. This is where it really all comes together. And the way that Master of Sanctity ends, literally continue on into the Unforgiven. It's directly after, like minutes apart, which is fucking fantastic. So really, really love that. The final battle at the end of Unforgiven, after all that's gone on within these trilogies and all that's been mentioned, all the characters, is absolutely incredible. Cypher involved hints to Angels of Caliban, which is obviously a heresy book. So it's just like, it's great. It's so well done. I love it. I love the continuity of it. Obviously, it's the same author writing it through, but he's done his research here. I really, really admire that. The Dark Angels cast throughout this entire series is fucking amazing. I love their interactions with each other. Sapphon, Asmodai, Sammael, who's the chapter master of the Ravenwing. You got Ezekiel, the librarian, who's fucking awesome. Azrael, Teleminus. They're not just names. They embody the chapter's torment, which, I love it. And this whole arc beautifully connects, like I was saying, to the Angels of Caliban, but it's done in a way which is like, oh shit, the implications here, but also the implications for the whole of Caliban, the breaking of the rock, everything. It's just like, and Luther, holy shit. I cannot recommend this trilogy enough. And obviously, if you don't have to read all the books. I didn't. I just somehow managed to get the core ones, and I was hooked. I honestly could not stop reading them. Fucking fantastic. Now, this moves on to Eye of Ezekiel, who Ezekiel is one of my favorite characters as well. He's the chapter librarian of the Dark Angels. Now, this book had so much promise, but it did stumble. So here's what worked for me in that book. Premise at the start of Eye of Ezekiel, Ezekiel has lost some of his powers after a confrontation with a greater demon. He's lost his powers of foresight. He's still the most powerful librarian in the chapter. He's not yet the librarian chapter master yet. There's some really cool powers that he does demonstrate here I haven't seen displayed, to my knowledge, in other books. Like, this is essentially their version of instant transmission, where he's talking with his master, and his master's fighting Necrons, and he turns around and one of the Necrons goes to stab Ezekiel, but it goes right through him. He's essentially a force ghost projecting himself across the universe, which really showcases Ezekiel's power, but it is diminished, and that's part of the story. Is he's haunted by this. That's the backstory of it, to kind of get the understanding. So here's what worked for me, without spoiling too much. It's a great siege setup. I really liked it. The orcs play a really cool role. Ezekiel's Super Saiyan moment at the end, where he's going to get his powers back. That shit was fucking awesome, and where he just starts unleashing hell. And I love the idea that Ezekiel was weakened after fighting a greater demon. I love this killer concept, and this is where the letdowns come into it. I think that should have been leaned into more. I think that should have been the main part of the story as opposed to the siege. I think the ending, as I said, felt rushed, really, really rushed. Now, the thing that really annoyed me, and this is what stopped this book from being great, was continuity issues that clash with the main trilogy. So essentially, in the Azrael novel, he hasn't become chapter master yet, right? And he meets Ezekiel for the first time. In Eye of Ezekiel, that's already happened. Ezekiel rises to becoming a librarian, and Azrael is already the chapter master. And it just completely breaks the timeline. Whereas the trilogy, even though the trilogy may not be 1000% correct, it references stuff outside of the author's own works and really hammers home the world. And I think any kind of break in that, especially if you're reading them back-to-back, shows that was a big, big letdown. And that's a shame, because I think with a bit more polish and a bit more lore consistency, it could have been something really, really special. Because like I said, there were fucking standout moments. Ezekiel going up against the war boss and just tearing him up. From there, it just felt like a slippery slope down. Look, my final thoughts on this is, even with the missteps, the Dark Angels saga is one of the best in 40k. It turned my least favorite Dark Angels book into one of my favorites. The arcs are layered, the characters are torn, the lore deep as the rock itself, man. Gav Thorpe bridges past, present, heresy to modern day, and it all leads to the rock's final stand. It is just so epic. I was up till 3 a.m. fucking playing metal just on repeat, and Belial was blasting people, and it's like, oh, fucking yeah. You gotta read this book. If you're a Dark Angels fan, you gotta read it and make your own judgment of it. If you don't like it, totally cool. If you do, awesome. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think.